Hey up, it's Steve from that old Yorkshire geek. Bit of Star Trek news. If you've watched the latest episode of Star Trek Picard, episode 2, it's called Disengage. My review is going online, even as we speak. It's probably online by the time you watch this. I'm pretty sure it will be. But you'll know, spoilers for that coming up. You'll know the big, not the big twist, because we all saw it coming, but spoilers ahead. So if you don't want to know what this big twist is, if you're saving the series, to binge watch it later, don't watch this video now. Go do something else with your life. So you've been warned. So now we're going to go spoilers, right? The character played by Ed Speleers that we call Jack, well, Jack Crusher, we find out it's not only Beverly Crusher's son, he's actually Jean-Luc Picard's son. So the Picard line does not end with Jean-Luc. Yay! As we learned in Generations, when his brother and his nephew were burned to death in a fire, the Picard line was going to end. And he said, I will be the last Picard. No, he won't, because he's got a son. Huzzah! Right, so we're reading an article from Entertainment Tonight. There we go. As usual, links in the description. Don't forget, like and subscribe, share the videos, drop a comment, hit the notification bell. If you're subscribed, I'm also on Rumble and Odyssey. Finally got round to it. Anchor.fm, Spotify, which I think have video now, although I'm not entirely sure, but I know it's coming at least. It has video for me. When I play them back, the video's there. I think it is for everybody, but I'm not sure. Amazon Music Podcasts, Google Podcasts, audio only. I'm also on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Links are in the description, as are the links for my 2 books, Mercury Rapids and Silent Predator. It's just a bit of fun. Right, Star Trek Picard, Ed Speleers on playing Jean-Luc Picard's, spoiler, son, and keeping it a secret, exclusive. And there he is, pointing a phaser. Spoiler alert, do not proceed if you have not watched the latest episode of Paramount Plus's Star Trek Picard. It's on Amazon in the UK and elsewhere. Turns out Jack Crusher has a deeper connection to Picard than previously thought. Star Trek Picard dropped one farther of a reveal in the latest episode of the Paramount Plus series' 3rd and final season, confirming that Jack, played by Hughes Ed Speleers, is in fact not only the son of Dr. Beverly Crusher, Gates McFadden, but also of Jean-Luc Picard, Patrick Stewart. The signs all pointed to that being the case, from similarities in their mannerisms to their British accents to the amount of time that had passed, roughly 2 decades, since Beverly cut the Enterprise crew off from all communication. He looks older than 20 to me, I'm sorry. How old is Ed Speleers? Let's have a look. Let's have a look, see how old Ed Speleers is. But I bet he's older than 20. There we go, Ed Speleers, actor. He's married to Asia Macy. Born in he's 34. There you go. He's 34, born in 1988. There we go. And he's got one child called Jude. I don't know if it's a girl or a boy. So there you go. He's 34, playing a 20-year-old. It does look older than 20. I don't know how they're going to explain it. Anyway, where were we? It wasn't until Jack was faced with the possibility of meeting a dire fate following an ambush by an enemy swarm led by Captain Vaddy, Commander Plummer, and his insistence to turn himself over to save his mother, that Picard finally came to terms with the fact that Jack was very much of his own blood. But it took the Admiral a while before he faced the music. Everybody knew it, Riker kept telling him. Armed with Captain Shaw's, Todd Stashwick, threat that they were going to let Jack sacrifice himself to save the USS Titan's crew and civilians, all 500 of them. Have they got civilians on board? He didn't say that. Did he? I don't know. Maybe they did. I don't know. But the 500 crew on the Neo-Constitution class USS Titan A. Picard pulled the ultimate power move after coming face to face with Beverly, who had woken up moments prior and declared the boy stays here. Did she say that? I can't remember. I'm gonna have to watch it again. I just remember seeing like a wordless exchange between them. Anyway, after a stunned Captain Shaw asked Picard why he was putting the entire crew in danger, Picard had only one response, and it was a powerful one. Because he's my son. Or as he says, he ain't got the voice anymore, has he? Because he's my son. That's how he talks now. Because he's very old, even though he's a robot. And I forgot to point it out in my review, where Vadik does mention is there in the synthetic flesh, he says to Admiral Picard. That's the only mention. Anyway, following the latest episode of Picard, which dropped Thursday, Entertainment Tonight spoke with Speleers over Zoom about playing the son of two iconic Star Trek characters, keeping and what he wants viewers to know. Keeping what he wants the viewers to know as Jack's story continues and to unfold. Do you mean keeping secret what he wants viewers to? I don't know. Entertainment Tonight. When this first came to you, how much did you know about who you were playing? How secretive were they during the process? Ed Speleers. I think initially when taping before the role, it was shrouded in a lot of secrecy. Although I knew Patrick Stewart's name was put on the email, so it didn't take me too long to work out which sci-fi franchise I might be up for. He's thinking, I'm going to be in the X-Men. But in terms of the specificity of the role, that didn't become clear until I was offered the part. And then Terry Matalas, our showrunner, he basically gave me the lowdown of what the whole deal was, the whole story. And I think it was important for him to do that, because I couldn't really play the role without that information, and also it's just exciting. Of course, I had to keep my lips very much shut and sealed and all that, but I didn't know quite a lot getting ready for it. When I started shooting, they were still finishing season 2, so I was sort of prepping in my apartment when I got to LA, just getting myself ready and going through scripts. And there's Admiral Picard and Captain Riker and Commander Hansen, 7 of 9. You're stepping into a universe that has decades of history and legacy to it. Once you've wrapped your head around the fact that you're playing Jack Crusher, who's not only the son of Beverly Crusher, but also Jean-Luc's son, which we find out in episode 2, did you have a moment where you thought this is surreal to be stepping into these shoes? I'm still having that moment, I think, replies Ed. I'm still trying to get my head around the fact that I've actually been in Star Trek, which is a dangerous thing to me because it means I could just become very lazy, rest on my laurels and be like, oh, I've been on Star Trek, that's great, and just use the convention circuit for the rest of your life for easy money. It's one thing to be added into this incredible universe and be given this amazing opportunity by Paramount and CBS, but it's another to be playing two of the most iconic sci-fi characters there has ever been. What? I don't know what he's talking about there. And not to put two, and to be playing two of the most iconic sci-fi characters. I don't understand what he means. Does that mean he's not Picard's son? He's actually something else? I don't understand that. Anyway, and not to put too fine a point on it, but probably the most, I mean between him and Kirk, he's one of the most revered captains in Star Trek history. To be his son, it did take a while to get my head around that. I don't understand this bit here, where are we? It's one thing to be added into this incredible universe and be given this amazing opportunity by Paramount and CBS, but it's another to be playing two of the most iconic sci-fi characters there has ever been. Do you mean playing opposite two of the most iconic, in Riker and Picard? I don't know. Or does it mean he's playing two of the most iconic sci-fi characters? So is he going to be playing Picard and he's going to be playing somebody else? Kirk? I don't know. I'm confused. Anyway, but having said that, I'll caveat that with there was so much work for me to do and there was so much, I don't know if pressure is the right word, but there were expectations that I've put on myself in order to deliver on the opportunities I've been given to try and create as well a fleshed out character as possible. That actually the weight and the gravitas of the situation, and what I'm surrounded by kind of dissipated because I just had to find a way to focus on the role. And also I had so much to do all the time that I didn't have the time to dwell. The surreal moments were the quiet drives home, sort of meditating on the day. How did you prepare to play, Jack? Did you study past episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation, or did you choose to walk in a little blind? Did you study Patrick and Gates's mannerisms? It's a good question. I think I find the preparation of a role, I'm not sure every actor does, but for me it's hugely important to give you the baseline and that confidence. That's getting on my nerves. To give you the baseline and that confidence to go out and express yourself. So to that end, yeah, I did as much as I possibly could. Again, Terry Matalas, he put me through, I think the email said, "This is your Star Trek University." And it was this long list of TNG episodes and films going back all the way to The Wrath of Khan, all the way through to First Contact. He said, don't look Nemesis, don't look at Nemesis. Why? I like Nemesis. I do. But we did see a young Picard, played by Tom Hardy, with a bald head. God, I hated that bit in the photo of, Picard at the Academy with a bald head. He didn't have a bald head. We knew he didn't have a bald head because we'd seen it in Tapestry, the episode Tapestry, when he was young. I mean, he wasn't even bald in the early seasons of Star Trek, TNG. Well, he wasn't on top, but he had hair around the sides, didn't he? But that eventually withered away as the series went on, didn't it? Anyway, I'm going to quote him on that verbatim, and he may never work with me again as a result. Entertainment Tonight, you need proofreaders. And to be honest, looking at the story for Jack and for this season, that makes so much sense. Those films made a lot of sense as well, and I think the reason why he wanted me to look at the things like Wrath of Khan, because I feel that Jack Crusher is an amalgamation of space cowboys and captains, I suppose. It's not just Picard, and I think there are elements of Kirk in him. See, that's what I want about up there, wasn't it? He's almost Kirk without Starfleet behind him, I suppose, isn't he? He's like that. So I'm wondering, Picard's saying he's his son, but is he really? Did they do the deed to make the son, or did Beverly do something, of a medical, genetic nature to impregnate herself? Or is he like a clone, using some of Picard's DNA and her own DNA, and she grew him like that in a lab? Or has he got other DNA? Has he got some of Kirk's DNA? Did she want to make the perfect Starfleet officer, the perfect human? I don't know. If that's the case, if he's if he's like an augment, that'll mean he's illegal, basically. It'd be like Dr. Bashir in Deep Space Nine. Another episode which I saw yesterday, because I think that was the episode before. Oh, you don't know what I'm talking about. In the review I talk about, yesterday I saw an episode of Deep Space Nine, and then the episode previously it was about Dr. Bashir. We found out that he was genetically enhanced. But anyway. We wanted him to have a sort of roguish quality to him, a sort of laugh in the face of danger type attitude, but very conscientious of others as well. I did go to town on the research, of course. I have some nostalgic memories of TNG being on at home in the UK, of coming home from school when I had only 4 channels, the wind rattling every brick in the house to the point I thought it was going to fall over, but TNG being there keeping me safe. When we first meet Jack, how long is this bloody interview going on for? Can I get on? Oh no, it's not that long. When we first meet Jack, he's quite brash. He doesn't really seem to authority very well. What the hell is wrong with Entertainment Tonight? He doesn't really seem to something authority very well. I don't know. Get on with authority very well. I don't know. Accept authority. Don't know. He's arguably the catalyst for the crisis that they're all kind of in right now. How would you describe him? Is there more to him? Yeah, I think he is quite brash. I've sort of refrained from using that word with him, but you're right, he is. He's one of the reasons that I was so drawn to him, especially once it was made very clear by Terry and others about whoever I was playing here, was the fact that he's incredibly complex. And as the season unfolds, you will discover more and more about what that complexity is all about. It's sort of twofold. There's many things that are causing that sort of complexity. I was fascinated by this idea of relationships, and father and son relationships, being a dad, of course, being a son as well, and my own dynamics, and what it would mean to not really know your dad, but your dad to be essentially one of the most revered and famous people in the world, or the galaxy. To not have a relationship with that person and how that might impact you, and knowing that your mother has made the choice to take you away from a certain life because she thought it was in your best interest. You know, much like Carol Marcus did with David, took Kirk's son away from him. It's just Star Trek 2, isn't it? And it's going to be even more Star Trek 2 in episode 3 by the looks, because they're in a nebula. Bit of submarine warfare in a nebula going on. So yes, he is brash, but he's also conflicted. He's conflicted because he's trying to figure out where his placement is in the universe. I think fundamentally at his core, he wants to do the right thing. He believes in doing whatever it takes for the benefit of others. At one point, he uses the phrase, it might even be in episode 2, "You're trying to do some good in a godless universe." Did they say that? I can't remember. I thought it's just such a great line, and it sort of became my point of view, or my modus operandi for Jack in a way. It's so succinct, it became a point of reference. If you kept coming back to that idea, then you could look at how he responded in so many situations. He's definitely a man of conflict. Certainly in the early episodes, there's a lot of figuring out. And much of this story, as it was pitched to me, and I really hope I'm not speaking out of turn, it's almost like an origin story for him. Well, yeah, we see early in episode 2 that, you know, he's basically a gun runner. He's smuggling weapons to some rebels on this planet. And medical supplies as well. Anyway, even though Jack and Picard are estranged in all ways, they're forced to interact due to the circumstances they find themselves in, and it appears Jack holds a lot of animosity toward the Admiral, and they have a lot to air out. He does this. How does this evolve their relationship, if at all? What challenges or obstacles do they face in the interim? I think there is animosity from Jack towards Picard. I think you're right there, and I think he owns that. I mean, does he know he's Picard's son? Don't know. What's great about Jack's character, and it might rub people up the wrong way, might rub the viewer the wrong way, is that he isn't afraid to call Picard out. He's not afraid to push buttons, and he doesn't really give two hoots about Starfleet and what they stand for. That is obviously to the detriment of the people around him. But the thing is, for those two, they're having to iron out a 24-year-old relationship. Oh, there we go. But I thought they haven't spoken to her for 20 years. I don't know. So is he 24 now then? So he's 34 playing a 24-year-old. Anyway. Whatever. Without having had that relationship, and they're having to do it in the sight of others with the highest stakes going on around them. First of all, and they're having to strike up a bond, and I think they relish it. It's like being in the trenches, isn't it? It was quite literally, I suppose, for them in their world, and they are thrown into a situation where they very quickly work out that maybe things aren't quite as black and white as one thinks in the first place. Whatever picture has been portrayed to me, and I don't necessarily think that a bad image was portrayed to Jack by them, I don't think that's the case. I think he's maybe formed his own opinion on this guy, and I think it is broken down, and that again drives more conflict for Jack, because he then starts to realise, oh, there's similarities, or there are things that they can connect over. I think he tries hard to push it away, because it hurts to look deep inside yourself and confront what you're really feeling, and he's trying to figure out what he's feeling, I suppose. That's still the core, and again, he's trying to do it on the biggest scale. Right. So what he's saying is that it's conflicted because they haven't had a relationship for 24 years. But you could say that's Beverly's fault, because she buggered off with him, didn't she? She took the son away from Picard for whatever reason. We don't know why. She cut off ties with all of the Enterprise crew and Starfleet, I suppose. But she still managed to get a ship, like a research vessel in it, because it had an NAR registry, didn't it? Which is like not Starfleet, but it's like the Merchant Navy sort of registration in it in the Federation. So it's like a research registry, isn't it? I think the Raven, the ship that Seven of Knives Parents. I did that have an NAR registry? I think it did. That's the ship that they've got. I think a Mariposa class, I think. But yeah, she's taking them away. Why did she not want anything to do with Starfleet, basically? Was it because of the Romulus thing? Picard tried to save as many Romulans as he could, didn't he? But he failed, but not wasn't his own fault, wasn't his fault, it was Starfleet's fault, wasn't it? I mean, he tried his best. But I don't know. Maybe it'll all be answered, maybe not. Do you have a favourite on-set memory with Patrick or Gates, or being amongst the Next Generation crew? What springs to mind when you look back on your time on set? There's lots, there really is, and I don't want to be vague and flippant with it, but I felt like almost every day I was like a kid in the sweet shop. I'm going to use another sort of metaphor. I was given the keys to the castle in a way. I suppose he said, I was given the keys to the castle in a way. I had the luxury of being able to work with all these wonderful humans and great actors in such close proximity. There's moments of levity that Jack gets, there's moments of action that he gets, but yeah, I think some of those more intimate scenes with Patrick, as the season unfolds, were definitely right up there. There are moments that will be cherished. Well, it's a Kirk and David thing, isn't it? David Marcus, his son. It'll be like that, won't it? But instead of having Picard punch him, like Kirk did with David the first time he meets him in Star Trek 2, he eats him, doesn't he? Because they have a fight, but he doesn't realise it's David. At the time, well, you could say that happens here, doesn't it? Because in episode 1, Riker punches Jack, doesn't he? But he doesn't. He does that to him, doesn't he? Elbows him in the face and takes his weapon. Of course, it is because he is an iconic actor and man within our industry, and particularly within this world, but it's just a pleasure to go toe-to-toe with someone like that who, at his age, is still incredibly passionate about the work and making sure the work makes sense and making sure, well, like bloody first 2 seasons it didn't, and making sure that the scenes we are doing are supporting the narrative of the story and making sure that we connect. It's incredibly important to him. Not in the first 2 seasons it wasn't. That's admirable. Gates is the same. Those are just moments of inspiration and moments that I always cherish. I sure hope I'm still doing it on the same level as they are now when I'm their age. What do you want fans to know or keep in mind about Jack as the season progresses? I just want them to go on this journey and know that there is a huge love and support for bringing everybody back, and to have been part of that in some ways has been amazing. But I just want people just to give Jack's story its chance, because I feel that if they go on this journey, then there's a lot to unpick, I hope. In the writing that we've put together and was presented to me and the way we shot it, I feel that we've got a rollicking good adventure, and I just hope that people have the faith to see it through and just keep with it. Will Wheaton plays Beverly's other son, Wesley Crusher, and he made a cameo in Season 2 of Picard. Have you talked to him? I have had a chat with Will Wheaton. Could we see Wesley and Jack together on screen before Picard is over? I would love that. I would love a future where that takes place. I would love a future where this role is able to be continued. And there we got to the end of the article. But as was pointed out to me the other day by a friend who watched, Marie, who watched the episode, she asked actually, where's Wesley? Doesn't Wesley know everything now? Because he's a traveller and he can like see all and be on all time and everything. Why hasn't he popped up to help his mother? Because he's busy doing the dirty with Soji, or whatever, the Iosa Briones, or whatever the bloody hell they call it. That's why. Oh, they just couldn't be bothered with him. So there we go. So Ed Speleers is Picard's son. Not Ed, no, Ed Speleers isn't. Jack Crusher is Picard's son. But Beverly gave him the name of her former husband, which is kind of creepy. But never mind. She thought they might have called him, Robert or something, like Robert or Renee maybe, but no. She's gone with Jack. Maybe he's Jack Robert or Robert. Jack Robert Picard. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Right, so very interesting. As I said, my review will be going online when it's done rendering. If there's any jerkiness in this video, that's probably because I'm rendering it now and my computer's not that good. So there we go. But I wanted to get this done. Right, we'll leave it there. So, there you go. Thanks for watching. Wherever you are in the universe, look after each other. And until next time, I'll say there. I'll get used to that one of these days.